Welcome to the Becoming You Show, where limits get torched and possibility takes the mic. I'm Leah Røling, human in permanent beta, neurostrategist, mom to 3 amazing humans, married to 1 legendary soul, and your no fluff permission slip to stop waiting. Every week, we rewire brain patterns, smash hand-me-down mindsets, and dive into the daring, identity-shifting conversations most people dodge. Ready to turn potential into proof? Grab your pen. Your next chapter starts now. Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back. Before we dive in, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for walking this journey with me. I absolutely love hearing from you. What's landing, what you need more clarity on, what you want to talk about, because I like to think of this conversation, not just me talking at you, but me and you. Right? Together, having the kind of conversations that most people won't or don't. The ones that stretch us, the ones that comfort us, the ones that challenges us to live as big as we possibly can. So I want you just to imagine it's just us, you and me, just sitting across from one another, navigating this life together, because that's how I want these conversations to feel. So today we are going to talk about transitions. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to bring forward, I was thinking about how it was that I've never learned how to navigate them. Right? I mean, I say this a lot, but we're taught how to brush our teeth, and we're taught how to read, and we're taught how to ride a bike. We're taught math and equations and grammar. We're taught to parallel park, although I don't do it well, right? But no one pulls us aside and says, hey, these might be some important things that you might want to learn. You might want to learn how to think. You might want to learn how to feel. You might want to learn how to navigate the moments that could unravel you, right? So today, we're going to dive in to that, because transitions, also something that we've really not been taught, blindside us. They rip away what was familiar, and they kind of leaving us standing in this in-between, in this space between who we were and who we are not yet. And no one teaches us how to live there. Right? That's the paradox. We spend years, right, prepping for a job, but not for a heartbreak. We practice math drills, but we have no clue how to regulate our emotions. We study history, but never the art of rewriting our own. We are trained to move on without ever being trained to move through. At yesterday's workshop, one of the profound takeaways was this lady that said, you know what? We aren't taught to think. We aren't taught to think. And we're not taught to do any of these things that I just mentioned. And when you add that all up, right? We're not taught how to think, how to feel, how to converse, how to transition, right? It makes sense. Right? Why so many of us get stuck, right? The most essential human skills, thinking, feeling, transitioning, conversing, right? Those skills, the ones that determine how we show up, how we lead, how we live our life, how we love, those are the very ones that we're left to stumble through. And so maybe that's the real work, right? Learning, right? At last, these lessons that we were never taught. So that's the conversation. That's the lesson for today is we're going to talk about transitions, right? And my hope with everything that I teach and in all these conversations is I help support you where you are in them, and give you a tool to help you as you navigate the transitions of your life. So when we think about transitions, I like to think about them as mile markers of life, right? Graduating high school, starting a career, getting married, raising kids, shifting jobs, right? Saying goodbye to parents, watching our children leave home, retiring, right? But what if transitions aren't just events? What if they are invitations? Invitations to become someone new, right? Most of us resist them. And here's why. Transitions don't come with a script. Even the ones we knew were coming, like our kids growing up and leaving the home, our bodies changing, right? These still feel like they arrive too soon. But what if we stopped being blindsided by transitions? What if we just come to expect them, right? Not in this doomsday, ugh, here comes more hard kind of way, but with a grounded knowing that you're capable, that I'm capable of navigating this, that transitions are part of the plan. They're part of the design. They are the curriculum. They are the invitation, right? They're hard. Transitions are hard, not because they're cruel, but because they're defining. They're hard because they're asking you to step out of ease, right? To step out of where you've been to consider a new possibility for yourself. They're amplifiers. Now I know some of you are listening and thinking, Leah, this transition is cruel. You have no idea, right? Losing a child, losing a parent, getting fired, watching your house burn down, right? And you would be right. They can feel cruel. They can even feel unfair. They can feel like they take more than you have to give. And this is where, as your coach, I want to remind you of a truth that we sometimes forget as we are navigating the hard. The truth of your strength, right, doesn't vanish because you don't feel strong in this moment. Even if you don't believe me when I tell you, you are strong and you can handle this. Even when I tell you, you are strong, you can handle this. You don't have to do anything different. You don't have to find a silver lining. You don't have to be grateful for the pain. You don't have to rush. This is your life. Trust the timing. But meeting a transition with strength, right? That is what makes you stronger on the other side. And when we don't believe that we're strong enough to meet it, we hide, we numb, we pretend. And those are the things that keep us stuck. So, as we move through this conversation today, I want you to bring your life into it. Okay? What transition are you navigating right now? And I think the other thing that maybe can give us some solace is that we're not transitioning alone. I am guessing that most people, they're transitioning in some way, shape, or form. So when you think about the transition that you're navigating, maybe it's one that you chose. Maybe it's one you didn't. Maybe it's obvious. Maybe it's subtle. But whatever it is, I want you to keep it in mind as we talk, right? Because again, I like to think that you're sitting right across my desk from me, right? Let this not just be about my story and my conversation, but let it invite you into yours, right? They don't, these transitions, they don't require perfection. They don't even require your gratitude and your appreciation. They only require your presence. Okay? They require you to stay awake to your life, even when it's hard. Right? So when we think about the transitions, and as I was thinking about it in particular for this podcast, I wanted to bring it and start with a question. What if transitions amplify, right? Invite you into the curriculum that is your growth, what is unfinished, right? What if transitions invite us, they wake us up to the things that we haven't fully faced yet? Maybe unfinished grief, maybe unfinished dreams, unfinished forgiveness, unfinished self-trust. Those were mine. Those were mine. Because if you ever feel like you're reliving the same pain, or that things like this keep happening, maybe it's because transitions, right, amplify what we haven't finished healing. They don't let us hide. They reveal to us what's unfinished in us. So when we think about grief, right, when someone we love leaves, whether by death or divorce or even distance, it stirs a grief that we thought we had settled, right? A child leaving, right? For college, a child leaving their home to rebuild in a new state can open the ache of losing a parent. I know it did for me. A job ending can trigger the pain of past losses. So what if these transitions just pull forward uncried tears and maybe unspoken goodbyes? We talk about dreams, unfinished dreams, right? They amplify the ones that we've quietly shelved. Maybe a career change might remind you, us, of a path that we didn't take. Maybe watching our kids grow can surface the dreams that we postponed while raising them. When life shifts, those old what ifs get louder. They remind us of the parts of ourselves still waiting to be lived. So the transition that you had in mind, could it be unfinished grief? Could it be inviting you to tap in to some tears? Unfinished dreams? Could it be inviting you to step up and in to a life that you've been waiting to live? What about forgiveness? That was one for me, right? Perhaps the loudest of them all. I think transitions, they confront us with the meanings that we've carried, right? I should have done more. It should have lasted longer. They should have stayed. I should have been more ready. This shouldn't have happened. Not like this. Not ever. I think some transitions push those beliefs into the spotlight until we choose whether to keep punishing ourselves or finally release them. And forgiveness, at its deepest level, is always a forgiveness of self. It's forgiving ourselves for the meanings that we gave, the meanings that we continue to carry about, all of it, the meaning that we give to the transition. If you just ask this transition, what meaning am I giving to the transition? You will find your answer. You will find what's unfinished. You will find all of the places that you are shoulding on your life or you're shouldn'ting on your life. You will find all of the places that you have tremendous judgment of what it is. That is the unfinished forgiveness that I'm inviting you into in this conversation. These were just four. As I was writing through the transitions that I'm navigating, these were just four of the things that I felt were unfinished work for me, right? So when we think about the last one that came to me was this unfinished self-trust, right? Transitions amplify, invite, bring forward curriculum, the cracks, the doubt in our self-trust. When everything shifts, the question sneaks in. Can I handle this? A move, a loss, a new role, all of it tests whether we believe in our own ability to navigate the unknown. Because without self-trust, we grasp for control and certainty. With it, with self-trust, we learn to walk forward even when we can't see the path. That's the real work of transitions. They force us, right? Sometimes quietly, subtly, other times a little bit more forcefully, right? They force us into feel unfinished grief, to revisit forgotten dreams, to release heavy meanings by bringing forgiveness into the conversation. And they help us decide, they bring a level of awareness to whether or not we truly trust ourselves enough to step into what's next. So transitions aren't just moments of change, right? They're invitations to grow. They show us what still needs healing, what still needs honoring, what still needs forgiving, and what still needs believing. And they invite us to do that work so we can live not smaller, but bigger than before, right? So how do we walk through these transitions without getting swallowed up, right? Let's do it together, okay? Because as I mentioned, I want you to think about the transition or transitions that you're navigating right now. It might be something that you've expected. It might be something that you've unexpected. It might be something that you've chosen or forced, right? Whatever it is, keep it close as we walk through this conversation. Because I'm going to share with you mine, because I'm in the middle of a lot. So my oldest son, he headed back to Scottsdale to crush his business. I couldn't be more proud of him, but also my heart aches. My heart aches for the void that he leaves because he has this big, big, big personality. And when he's not here, that bigness feels more like a loss. My middle son, he's a senior. And I've navigated a senior before, but he's my middle. And every single game, every single moment, every single tuck in, every single wake up, every single morning at breakfast feels like the last. And I try to be present in it, but in that presence, it's asking me to feel. And it's reminding me to be here. And my youngest son, he's a freshman, and he really doesn't need me the way he used to need me. He doesn't need me to drive him to school anymore and or pick him up. And I know that that's a simple thing, but the silence in my car reminds me that another chapter is closing. My business shifting. from one to many to many to many. And that's thrilling, but it also feels kind of disorienting because if any of us are in business, and I know a lot of us, a lot of the listeners are, there's no blueprint, there's no roadmap. It's just that next step that again you get to trust with that self-trust. And as again, I was putting forward this podcast, this outline, the hardest transition of all for me is the one that I navigate every day. And that's living without my mom, right? That transition never really ends. It just keeps inviting me to grow new layers of strength, to grow new layers of forgiveness and grace. So you've got yours in mind. I've got mine in mind, right? Let's walk through this framework that I have been using to navigate these transitions, okay? And I believe that every transition is a trip into a new version of you. So that's the acronym that we're going to be using as we walk through this transition together, right? So trip, T, tell the truth. The truth is Logan is moving. Levi is graduating. Max is growing up. My mom is gone. Those are facts. No stories, no spin, just the raw reality. Okay? What about you? What's the truth of the transition that you're in? Say it out loud if you can. Write it down if you need to. Naming the facts is where we start. Because there's facts and then there's stories about facts. And it's really important for us to navigate and to process it because when we don't name the facts, we are just ruminating in storyland. And we think that's processing. It's not processing. That's hiding under the guise of processing. Okay? So, tell the truth. R, release resistance. Okay? This is the hard one, you guys. Stop fighting reality. Okay? Logan wasn't supposed to stay close forever. He wasn't. Levi wasn't supposed to stay in high school. Max wasn't supposed to stay in the back seat. My mom wasn't supposed to live forever. How do I know? Because this is what happened. You don't have to like it. I don't always like it. But resisting it breaks our heart twice. Once for what happened, and once for what we wish had happened. So what about you? Where are you still fighting reality in your transition? The I, invite identity. Okay? This is the question. Who do I want to be in this? With Logan, do I want to be the mom who clings or the mom who blesses with belief? With Levi, do I want to be the mom who resents the last or who savors it? With Max, do I want to be the mom who mourns the rides or the mom who builds new ways to connect? With my mom, do I want to be the daughter who only mourns her absence or the daughter who believes that her presence is everywhere? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be in this? And then P is practice. Practice rituals. Transitions destabilize us, right? So we create rituals to steady us. For me, it's weekly calls with Logan. It's being fully present at all of Levi's lasts. It's building new rhythms with Max. And with my mom, it's believing in small practices, prayer, conversation, moments of stillness that remind me that she's still mothering in ways that I can't always see. So what rituals could you create to anchor yourself in this transition so it doesn't seem so unstable? Okay? Small ones, simple ones, ones that honor what was and steady what is. That's how we navigate the trip. Not by rushing through it, not by numbing it, not by hiding in it, but by telling the truth. Releasing resistance, identifying identity. Who are we going to be in this moment? How are we going to meet this transition? And practice rituals, okay? Different kids, different transitions, different aches, but the same truth. Every transition forces us to parent ourselves as much as we parent them. And every transition is asking you the same question. Will you walk this trip awake, or will you miss the chance to become who you're meant to be? Who you're meant to be. So, I want to invite you to consider that transitions are not here to punish us. Maybe they're here to reveal us. They amplify what's unfinished so we can face it. They stir up grief we haven't fully felt, dreams that we've put on hold, forgiveness that we've delayed, and the cracks in our self-trust. They remind us that life is not meant to stay the same. It's meant to move us, to stretch us, to transform us. So, and as I bring this framework to you, as I bring forward massive amounts of love, hopefully comfort and challenge, as you navigate your transitions, right? You know the transition you're navigating. You've held it in your mind as we've walked through this conversation. And my hope is that something here gave you strength, clarity, or maybe just permission to feel exactly what you're feeling. You don't have to rush. You don't have to be grateful. You don't have to make meaning out of it today. Can you just meet it with the strength that's already inside of you? And you don't have to go it alone. You don't have to go it alone. So, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for letting me share my heart. Thank you for walking it with me. I love you. I see you. And I believe in your ability to walk this trip into who you're becoming. We'll see you next week. Take care. If this episode cracked something open, good. Let it. And then head to leahrowlingcoaching.com and grab the tools to rewire the story and reclaim your future. It is yours. And then share this with someone who's still waiting to be chosen, still waiting for permission, and remind them they don't need a breakthrough, that they are the breakthrough. Until next time, my beautiful friends, invest in you and keep becoming.